When someone treats you like an option, it stings, it messes with your head. You start asking yourself, why wasn't I enough? What did I do wrong? But I want you to understand something very important. This isn't about you not being enough. This is about them not seeing what they had in front of them. And here's the key. When someone doesn't see your value, that's your cue to stop proving it to them. Too often when we feel overlooked or discarded, our instinct is to convince the other person of our worth. We start overcompensating, giving more, proving more, hoping that at some point they'll wake up and realize, oh my God, I had something incredible right in front of me. But let me tell you something. Value doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg to be recognized. It simply is. And those who don't see it, they don't deserve access to it. I want you to imagine walking into a store and seeing a diamond ring in a glass case. If you know anything about diamonds, you already understand that it's valuable. You don't need a sales pitch. You don't need someone following you around the store saying, please, please, look at it again. I promise, it's amazing. The moment a salesperson has to convince you the value of the ring suddenly seems questionable. Why do they have to sell it so hard? But when that ring sits in the case, unbothered, knowing its worth, the right person, the one who recognizes its value, steps forward and says, I'll take it. That's the energy you need to embody, because the right person won't need to be convinced. They won't need to be chased. And if someone is treating you like an option, it means they're uncertainty. And uncertainty is already your answer. See, people make time for what matters to them. And the person who truly values you will never put you in a position where you're questioning where you stand. When you are a priority in someone's life, they don't keep you in limbo. They don't breadcrumb you with just enough attention to keep you hanging on while they weigh their other options. And if you find yourself in a situation where someone is doing that to you, it's time to flip the perspective. Instead of thinking, how can I make them choose me? Ask yourself, why would I ever choose someone who doesn't choose me wholeheartedly? You see, so many of us get stuck in this painful loop of trying to earn love. We believe that if we just say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right version of ourselves, then maybe, just maybe, they'll finally give us the love and commitment we crave. But let's be honest, if you have to fight to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be chosen, then even if they do pick you in the end, what kind of relationship do you really have? One where you're always on edge, always wondering if you're still good enough today, always trying to maintain their interest. That's not love, that's survival. And love should never feel like a game of survival. I need you to hear this. Rejection is not the enemy. The wrong person choosing you is. Because when the wrong person chooses you, you waste years in a situation where your needs are not met, your worth is constantly questioned, and your happiness is dependent on whether someone else decides to show up for you that day. Rejection, on the other hand, is redirection. It's life's way of saying, not this, something better is waiting for you. But here's the tricky part. In the moment, it doesn't feel like redirection. It just feels like pain. It feels like loss. It feels like you've been discarded, like you weren't special enough. But I promise you, when you stop seeing rejection as a personal failure and start seeing it as information, everything changes. Because what rejection is really telling you is this person isn't for you and you are not for them, and that is okay. But you can't see that if you're too busy trying to force something that was never meant to fit. So what do you do when someone treats you like an option? You walk away. You remove yourself. Not as a strategy, not to make them feel something, but because that's what people who know their worth do. They don't chase. They don't beg. They don't linger where they're not valued. They shift their energy to people and situations that make them feel seen and secure. And let me tell you what happens when you do this. One of two things. Either that person will feel the loss and they'll come running back, desperate to undo their mistake. But by the time they do, you'll realize you don't even want them anymore. Or they won't come back. And you'll be grateful because you'll see that the space they left behind was exactly what you needed to attract someone who truly values you. So the next time someone treats you like an option, Don't internalize it. Don't make it about your worth. Recognize it for what it is, a gift. A moment of clarity, a chance to walk away with your dignity intact, knowing that what's ahead is far better than what you're leaving behind. And when that day comes, when you're standing next to someone who makes you feel like the most cherished, irreplaceable person in the world, you'll look back and think, thank God I didn't settle for less. If someone treats you like an option, it's because they don't fear losing you. Think about it. People don't value what they believe will always be there. That's why we take for granted the air we breathe, the people who love us, the things we assume will never leave. But the moment we sense scarcity, when something is slipping through our fingers, that's when we suddenly wake up to its value. That's when we realize we should have done more, paid more attention, fought harder to keep it. The same is true in relationships. When someone knows they can reach out to you whenever they want, that you'll always answer, that you'll always be available no matter how inconsistently they show up, they begin to believe you're not going anywhere. And when someone assumes you'll always be around, they don't work for you. They don't prioritize you. They don't chase you. And slowly, they start treating you as an option rather than a priority. The key isn't to force them to see your worth. It's to show them with your actions that you won't be treated that way. The mistake people make is thinking that if they just try a little harder, if they give a little more, if they prove themselves, then the other person will finally see how special they are. But here's the truth. Value is not created by how much effort you put into proving yourself to someone. Value is created by how much someone fears losing you. When someone sees that you're willing to walk away from a dynamic that doesn't serve you, they start to understand your worth, and that's when the shift happens. So what does this actually look like in real life? It means that when someone cancels on you last minute, you don't pretend it's okay. You don't bend over backward to reschedule. You show with your actions that your time is valuable. It means that when someone only calls you when it's convenient for them, you don't always pick up. You don't reward inconsistency with your presence. It means that when someone treats you like you're an option, you don't stay in the game hoping they'll eventually change their mind. You step back, not as a manipulation tactic, but because you genuinely understand that you deserve better. The biggest shift you can make is realizing that your presence is a privilege, not a given. When you embrace that, you naturally start to show up differently. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop chasing after people who are indifferent. You stop worrying about what they think, and instead, you focus on how you feel in their presence. Do they make you feel secure, valued, important? Or are you constantly wondering where you stand? If you're always questioning their feelings, that's your answer. Because when someone truly values you, you never have to wonder. And here's the irony. The moment you stop being so available, the moment you make it clear that you have standards, that's when the people who took you for granted suddenly sit up and pay attention. They wonder why you're not responding like you used to. They start noticing your absence. They feel that void. And in that moment, they begin to realize what they had. But by then, you've already moved on to something better. It's not about playing games. It's about self-respect. When you treat yourself like a high-value person, other people start treating you that way too. And those who don't, they fall away. And that's exactly how it should be. The best revenge isn't about playing games, making someone jealous or proving a point. It's not about crafting the perfect message to make them feel the way they made you feel. That's what most people do, right? They get hurt, they feel discarded, and they immediately think, how do I make them realize what they lost? But here's the truth. When you focus on making someone else feel pain, you're still giving them your energy. And when you give them your energy, you're still holding on to them. The real power, the real shift happens when you no longer need them to feel anything at all. When someone treats you like an option, your first instinct might be to prove your worth to them, to show them they made a mistake, to remind them of everything you brought to the table. But the second you start playing that game, you've already lost because you're still looking for their validation. And if you need their validation to feel valuable, then you're still letting them dictate your worth. Think about it. If someone truly valued you, they wouldn't have treated you like an option in the first place. They wouldn't have made you question your place in their life. And if they did, if they had the audacity to make you feel like you were just one of many instead of the one and only, then why are you still looking in their direction? People always think that making someone regret losing them means they have to post the right photos, say the right things, and appear to be thriving in a way that looks effortless. But real indifference, the kind that stings the most, doesn't come from a curated image. It comes from actually moving on. It comes from actually living your life, not pretending to. There's a moment that happens when someone who took you for granted realizes they no longer have access to you. And it's not when you post a picture with someone new, and it's not when you try to make them jealous. It's when they reach out, expecting you to still be available, and you're not. It's when they assume you're still waiting for their text, still checking their stories, still hoping for their attention, and instead, you're just gone. Not because you're trying to be, but because you genuinely don't care anymore. You see, the biggest mistake people make is thinking that silence is a tactic, that pulling away is something you do to create a reaction. But if you're doing it for a reaction, then you're still operating from a place of needing them to notice. And that's not real power. Real power is when you detach so completely that whether they notice or not whether they regret it or not doesn't change anything for you, because you've built a life where their presence or their absence makes no difference. And here's the kicker. When you reach that point, when you stop needing them to feel anything, that's when they feel it the most. That's when the regret kicks in. Because suddenly they realize that the person they thought would always be there isn't. The option they thought they had, gone. And they don't get another chance to fix it. This is why you don't chase. This is why you don't play games. This is why you don't waste your time trying to prove to someone that you were worth choosing. The people who see your value won't need convincing. And the people who didn't, they can live with that mistake, because you're not going to be the one reminding them of it. You're going to be too busy living a life that makes you forget they ever existed. So if someone treated you like an option, the best thing you can do isn't to make them feel pain, it's to become so focused on yourself that their opinion no longer matters. Their validation no longer matters. Their regret no longer matters. And when you get to that place, you'll realize the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's indifference. Instead of trying to make him see what he lost, level up your life. You see, the problem most people face when someone treats them like an option is that they immediately feel the need to prove their worth. They think, if I just show him how amazing I am, if I remind him of all the things I did for him, he'll finally realize what he had. But that's the wrong game to play, because the moment you start proving yourself to someone who already undervalues you, you've already lost. Here's the truth. A man who genuinely values you doesn't need convincing. He doesn't need reminders. He doesn't need to be told why you're special, because he already sees it. And if he doesn't, that's all the information you need. The answer isn't to make more noise about your worth. The answer is to remove yourself and raise your standard, because the moment you show a man that you will not be treated as an option, you set the tone for what you will and won't accept in your life. The mistake so many people make is believing that love is something to be negotiated. That if you just say the right things, if you just do the right things, then maybe, just maybe, he'll wake up one day and decide you're the one. But love, true love, isn't a negotiation. It's not about trying to convince someone to see you as a priority. A person who truly cares will never put you in a position where you feel like you have to fight for their attention. The real power move isn't proving anything to him. The real power move is stepping back, raising your standards, and refusing to engage in a relationship where you're just an option. Because when you do that, something incredible happens. Suddenly, you're no longer trying to fit into someone else's world, you're building your own. You're creating a life where people don't need to be reminded to treat you well, they just do, because they know that if they don't, they won't get the privilege of being close to you. Think about it like this. When you walk into a 5-star restaurant, they don't beg people to come in, They don't stand outside convincing passers-by why their food is worth the price. They simply exist at a higher standard. And because of that, people recognize their value. People show up dressed properly. They make reservations in advance. They treat the experience with respect. That's exactly how you need to start seeing yourself. You don't need to explain your worth. You need to embody it. So, how do you do that? How do you stop being an option and start being a priority? It starts with your actions. It starts with what you tolerate. It starts with walking away from situations that don't meet your standards, even when it's hard. Because let's be honest, walking away isn't easy. Cutting someone off who you care about isn't easy. But neither is staying in a situation where you constantly feel undervalued. And if you have to choose between temporary discomfort and long-term self-respect, choose self-respect every time. The reality is, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, that's the moment a shift happens. He'll notice. He'll feel it. Because up until now, he's been used to you being there no matter what. He's been used to you being an option, waiting, hoping that he'll finally see your value. But when you remove yourself, when you stop being available at his convenience, you force him to confront what life looks like without you. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes, when you raise your standards, he will step up. He will realize he took you for granted. He will make the necessary changes to show up for you the way you deserve. And sometimes he won't. Sometimes he'll let you go without a fight. And that is the hardest truth to accept. Because in that moment, it will be tempting to think, maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe I should have explained more. Maybe I should have given him one last chance. But no, his lack of effort is your answer. If he doesn't fight for you now, he never would have. And that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of his capacity. The right person for you will never need to be convinced. They will never put you in a position where you question your importance in their life. So, instead of lowering your standards to meet someone where they are, elevate your life so that only those who are willing to meet you at your level have access to you. That's the difference between being an option and being a priority. And that's how you take your power back. Because at the end of the day, the strongest move you can make isn't proving anything. It's walking away with your head held high and never looking back. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who undervalues you, everything changes. And I mean everything, because when you're in a situation where you're constantly trying to get someone to see your value, to recognize what you bring to the table, you're already losing. You're operating from a place of scarcity, like there's only one person out there who could possibly love you, and if you don't hold on to them, you'll be alone. That belief, it's the very thing that keeps you stuck in a cycle of chasing people who don't deserve you. But here's the truth. The person who treats you like an option is not your person. And the longer you try to convince them otherwise, the more you reinforce the idea that you're someone who settles for breadcrumbs. That's not who you are. You are not someone who should be waiting around for a moment of their attention, hoping they choose you when they feel like it. That is not love. That is not connection. That is insecurity masquerading as attachment. And it's time to break that cycle. When someone makes you feel like an afterthought, you don't argue with them about it. You don't try to show them how great you are. You don't waste time explaining why you deserve more. Because the moment you start explaining your worth to someone is the moment you've already lost sight of it yourself. Instead, you shift, you pivot, you make the decision that if someone can't see your value, they don't get access to you. It's as simple as that. And I know what you might be thinking, but I love them, but we have history, but they show moments of care. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Because people who treat you like an option aren't always cruel. They're not always villains. They're often people who give you just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to make you believe that if you try a little harder, if you wait a little longer, if you just prove yourself a bit more, they'll finally give you what you need. But let's be honest, that moment never comes. And in the meantime, you're stuck. You're waiting. You're becoming a lesser version of yourself because your energy is going into convincing someone of something they should have seen from the start. That's why the most powerful move you can make is to walk away. Not to punish them, not to manipulate them into seeing your worth, but because you finally recognize your own. You don't chase, you replace. And no, I don't mean jumping into another relationship overnight. I mean replacing the energy of waiting with the energy of thriving. I mean redirecting your focus from proving your worth to someone who can't see it, to embodying that worth so completely that the right people recognize it immediately. Because that's the thing about attraction. People sense when you are standing in your value. They can tell when you're not desperate, when you're not available for inconsistency, when you refuse to engage in the push and pull dynamic that people with commitment issues thrive on. When you start carrying yourself with the energy of someone who chooses their relationships instead of waiting to be chosen, everything shifts. People respect you more, they treat you differently. The ones who used to keep you waiting suddenly feel like they're losing something. And the ones who were always capable of giving you what you deserve, they start showing up. So the question is, what are you going to do with your energy? Are you going to keep pouring it into a black hole, hoping that one day, maybe, if you're patient enough, they'll finally see what they have in you? Or are you going to reclaim that energy for yourself? Because every moment you spend waiting for someone to treat you right is a moment you could be spending becoming the version of you that doesn't have to wait for love, the version of you that naturally attracts it, the version of you that never again settles for being an option. And here's the best part, you don't have to do anything dramatic. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to send a long message explaining why you're walking away. You just do it, quietly, powerfully, with the kind of grace that makes people wonder, what changed? That's where the real power is. Because when you truly understand your value, you don't need to prove it, you just live it. And trust me, when you live in that space, the people who once treated you like an option, they feel the shift. They feel the absence of your energy. They realize, often too late, that you were never an option. You were always the prize. But by then, you won't even care. There's a moment in life when you realize someone isn't treating you the way you deserve. You feel like you're just an option to them, a backup plan, someone they keep around but never fully commit to. And in that moment, your instincts tell you to fight for their attention, to prove your worth, to make them see what they're about to lose. But here's the truth. The more you explain, the more you try to make them understand, the less they listen. Because if they truly valued you, you wouldn't need to explain in the first place. The most powerful thing you can do when someone treats you like an option is not to argue, not to beg, not to seek closure. It's to disappear. Your absence should speak louder than your words. Because here's what happens. People only realize what they had when it's no longer there. It's human nature. We take things for granted until we no longer have access to them. And when you stop being an option, when you remove yourself from the situation completely, that's when they feel it. Now, this isn't about playing games. It's not about pretending to move on while secretly hoping they chase you. No. This is about genuinely moving forward. It's about recognizing that your value isn't something you should have to convince someone of. It's something that should be obvious. And if it's not obvious to them, then they're not the right person for you. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone desperate to make their absence felt, only to check their phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a message? That's not real absence. That's just another form of waiting. Real absence means truly stepping away, not to punish them, not to manipulate them, but to reclaim your energy, your self-respect, your dignity. And here's the irony. The moment you truly detach is the moment they start to notice. Because people can feel when they no longer have a hold on you. They can sense when you're no longer emotionally available to them. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they realize the comfort of always having you there is gone. And that's when they start questioning if they made a mistake. But by then, you're already gone. And that's the point. You don't remove yourself to teach them a lesson. You remove yourself because you deserve more. You remove yourself because you refuse to be someone's second choice. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You become the prize. See, the person who treated you like an option was never worried about losing you because on some level, they assumed you would always be there. They assumed that no matter how much they neglected you, how inconsistent they were, how little effort they put in, you would still be around, still responding, still hoping they'd change. And the moment you show them that's not the case, the dynamic shifts. It's a simple truth. People don't respect what they don't have to work for. When you're always available, always willing to forgive, always making excuses for someone's behavior, they lose respect for you, even if they don't realize it consciously. But when you set a standard, when you walk away and actually mean it, that's when they start to wonder what they lost. That's when the regret kicks in. That's when they start chasing, not because they suddenly became